All right, Ian, we talked about Flash games, and animation being in potential peril because Adobe Flash support is being dropped at the end of this year.
Yes. So Adobe Flash, or Flash, which was also Macromedia at one point, was it's an early animation platform where you can make interactive animations, games, things like that, in-browser apps, and post them online. And it was a wildly popular format to do so in, and it was the barrier to entry was very low. So people jumped on it and started, all sorts of early artists, animators kind of cut their teeth on Flash.
Because you can get software, you can download it. Macromedia had their own software. I remember having a copy of it. I'm sure there's other cheaper software out there. You can just basically start diving in and doing your own coding. And it was more rudimentary than coding something from scratch, obviously.
Right. And Flash was extremely lightweight. You could get, programs up there under a megabyte. If you needed to. It wasn't, super difficult to keep things lightweight and low for, where's my words going? The internet overhead. So Flash had its problems. Without getting too much into it, because I'm not the smartest on it, Flash, as it was updated and became more and more popular, people started to notice security issues with Flash. And Apple also famously decided that they weren't going to allow Flash use on the iPhone, which immediately kind of killed it everywhere. As the iPhone became more and more popular, people wanted to have those sorts of interactive experiences on the browser that they were using on their phone. And web, or like mobile...
Sorry, I played it.
Jesus H. Christ. That threw me off. No, really, that screwed me.
Apple decided.
Apple, decided that they weren't going to use it on their browsers, and basically, support for it just fell off. People started to look for new things to do, new things to use to create those experiences, so that they could get them onto mobile phones. HTML5 essentially became the big replacement.
Yeah, for basically everything.
Yes. It had all that stuff built in, the native ability to do the animations and things like that. So they announced that they would be discontinuing Flash in 2017, and that it would end December of 2020, which is next month. So what does this mean? It means that hosting for basically web browsers will no longer support Flash plugins. So all the websites that use them, you will not be able to watch those. You can download Flash animations. I'm not sure if everyone knows that. You can go and find a Flash animation that you like on a website, right-click it, and for the most part, you can save that animation to your hard drive. And you can download a Flash player for your computer and watch it that way. But the whole interactive experience of, finding them and experiencing them on a website that catalogs them is going to, for the most part...
Like Newsgrounds. Like
Newsgrounds, etc. Those places are going to be kaput.
Which is a shame. I'm sure they moved on by now to other stuff.
Sure, but that aspect of them is going to be gone. So, the Internet Archive, constant good guys, have...
Constant
good guys. They are. I have basically created a portal for Flash where people can start uploading Flash files, their old Flash files, to be archived and saved, and just like Internet Archive has been doing, allows many things to be emulated and run in browser. That's what's going to happen here. The emulator, I believe, is called Ruffle, and you'll be able to use the Flash programs on the Internet Archive website just like you can with, say, Apple II programs or anything else that they've got emulated.
Yeah, it's basically running through the site, but it's not running in the browser, so they get around it, I guess.
Right, exactly. It's running on the site. It'll look just like it did, but it's emulating it. It's not using the plugin that you have.
So there's a whole splash page for it, or there's a whole portal for it, a software library Flash for both. It's both for collections, games, and movies on here. It tells you about it. Adobe Flash Animation has enjoyed mainstream popularity since the mid 2000s with many Adobe Flash animated television series, television commercials, and award-winning, et cetera, et cetera. So there not just tells you the little history of it. There's collections set up. You can search by year that these were released as well. And you can search by probably eventually even more different sub. Like here's if you want to see the PBS Kids did, there's 26 of them on the site. You click on PBS Kids. You can say, oh, here's what PBS Kids created. There's 26 of them. Cyber Chase, Jigsaw Puzzle, Cyber Chase Vortex. A lot of organizations used Flash games. A lot. I talked about talk about the Watchmen movie. There was a Flash game created for the Watchmen movie in 2008. It was the way to get stuff done.
Well, and you talk about other stuff. I mean, stuff that was culturally relevant. I mean, Homestar Runner.
Yes.
Whether you love it or not, and I love it. I somehow
which is the picture they use.
It's a picture they use. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the poster runner for the poster runner for just how big Flash got and how useful it was and how effective it was in the right hands.
Remember, this is before YouTube blew up too, so this is a way you saw a lot of cool little, I don't want to say meme stuff for viral. So this is how you ingested online shows sometimes, or little animations. There was no YouTube started in 2005, but didn't really blow up for a few years.
Right.
So this is the way to do it. So what's interesting is I played the peanut butter jelly time animation and so when you click on it, it tells you the date it came out. Then it gives you a little history on it as well.
Nice.
It says peanut butter jelly time is a Flash animation that first emerged in the early part of this century and quickly became an internet phenomenon. This animation is based on a song of the same name recorded by DJ Chipman of the Buckwheat Boys. The best-known version of the animation, which can be seen above, shows a highly pixelated dancing banana moving back and forth to the song's chorus. So you get it's like a little history curation as well of what you're watching. So it's not just going to be a dumping ground. There's a little bit written about it, and then you can download the Flash file. You can download a screenshot of it there, item tile. So it's really, it's fantastic that you can do this. Yeah, the XML file for it. So I'm going to go back once this really fills up, and this might take, I don't know how long it's going to take to fill this up too. I mean, how many is going to be at the end of the day? Probably tens of thousands of these things. I mean, how many think is this going to fill up?
They've been doing it for 5 days, and I think there's already a few thousand up there. I mean, it's...
Well, this result says 868 right now. Maybe they have to write up some of these.
Oh, maybe. But yeah, that's just going to grow.
Because it's only been around since October 27th. It was created.
Okay.
Jason Scott looks like created the archive here. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. But at least there's now a place where everyone can go for their one-stop shop, hopefully, and they get them all on here for the most part. And I wouldn't think any of these would be complain about copyright, because how the hell are you going to re-release, or where are you going to release some of these little animation libraries or some of these Flash games? You're not going to re-release cheap little Flash games. So hopefully the copyright holders don't give a shit about it, or don't cause a stink. I don't see why they would, because for the most part, a lot of these things are never going to be looked at by a lot of people ever again. And that may they breathe new life into it, on this Internet Archive Flash library.